Ukrainians in Kyiv are sheltering from Russian bombs in the city's metro system. Here are the grim details. As military experts warn that Russia may be shifting tactics, increasingly using artillery and air bombardments to pulverize cities as they previously did in Chechnya and Syria, according to the Associated Press, Kyiv's metro is operating as a citywide bomb shelter. In the last week, Russia has bombarded Kyiv with missile strikes, with troops attempting to push into the city from the northwest, and the Kyiv TV tower hit by a projectile on March 1st. The New Yorker explains that the situation is seeing metro stations in Kyiv fill with as many as 15,000 civilians every night in search of safety. The system of 52 metro stations is home to famous historic features dating back to the Soviet era. Its Arsenalna station is the deepest in the world at 105 meters below ground level. As widespread bombing continues in the country, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has labeled Russia's bombardment as a blatant terror campaign, and Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S., cited by The Guardian, says Russia has started using thermobaric weapons. The claim comes in the wake of multiple social media posts showing TOS-1 thermobaric missile launchers entering Ukraine. The TOS-1 vehicle can fire 24 thermobaric missiles in 15 seconds, and each missile can destroy buildings within hundreds of meters of the detonation point. The missile can be fired up to 6 kilometers away. When it hits its target, an initial charge distributes an aerosol made up of very fine material, which could be anything from a carbon-based fuel to tiny metal particles. The highly flammable cloud is then ignited by a second charge. When the cloud erupts, it creates a massive shockwave, as well as a vacuum as it sucks up all surrounding oxygen. The blast wave can last for significantly longer than a conventional explosive and is capable of vaporizing human bodies. It is, however, designed to destroy defensive positions, which means it causes massive damage to city buildings, while also causing many human casualties. As the war in Ukraine continues, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered nuclear deterrence forces on high alert. Here's what that means. After invading Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin has escalated the situation further by ordering the transfer of deterrence forces to a special mode of combat duty, thus raising the specter of nuclear war. While the ambiguous order could simply be a threat to the U.S., one strategic alternative is that it could mean Russia is dispersing intercontinental ballistic missiles from their bases and fitting them to long-range heavy bombers, according to one senior fellow at international affairs think tank, the Carnegie Endowment, cited by the Financial Times. The order could also involve moving tactical warheads from centralized storage facilities to deployment locations as a threat to Ukraine. However, alternatively, Pavel Podvig, a senior research scientist at the UN Institute for Disarmament Research in Geneva, suggested on Twitter it could mean that the Russian nuclear command and control system received what is known as a preliminary command, which essentially means connecting the wires of the system so that if a launch order was issued, it would go through. In peacetime, the system is there, but the circuitry is disconnected, Podvig explained. Even if you press the button, nothing would happen. However, if Russia believes it entered a threatening period, the National Command Authority can bring the system into a working condition, connecting the wires. Podvig added that the preliminary command could also trigger visible actions such as submarines leaving ports or weapons loaded on bombers and bomber dispersals, but this is not necessarily the case. Everything could stay on the level of circuits. Importantly, he concluded by saying that the order is not something that suggests Russia is preparing itself to strike first, adding that, in his view, a first strike has never been an option. Crucial context for all of this is that Russia has the world's largest nuclear arsenal, with the Wall Street Journal citing a February 2002 report by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists and outlining that Russia has more than 1,500 warheads deployed and almost 3,000 in reserve. In September, for instance, CNN reported Moscow was testing a new nuclear-powered cruise missile just months after separate reports that it was testing a doomsday drone designed to cause massive tsunamis filled with radioactive material. The nuclear-powered missiles, codenamed Skyfall, are around 8 meters long and feature nuclear engines which allow them to fly long distances. Russia claims the missiles can take any route to their target, and the U.S. says it's designed specifically to get around U.S. air defenses. Meanwhile, in April, CNN reported on Russian tests of its new Poseidon II-M39 drone torpedo. Unlike conventional torpedoes, Russia says this behemoth can snoop around enemy defenses to sneak up to enemy coastal cities. Once in position, the huge device would set off its massive nuclear warhead to create large tsunami-like waves, inundating cities and large areas of coastal land with radioactive particles, making the land uninhabitable for decades. Both the torpedo and missile are part of Russia's drive to modernize its strategic nuclear arsenal. As of now, the live situation with these weapons is that, according to The Guardian on Monday, a statement by Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov could be seen as an indication that Putin's decision to put these nuclear forces on high alert was a kind of high-stakes diplomacy. Peskov clarified that the decision came in response to various Western warnings there would be collisions and clashes between NATO and Russia. Either way, Guardian World Affairs editor Julian Borger writes that the challenge for NATO allies now is maintaining the support Ukraine needs for its survival while making clear Putin has a way out of the crisis, rather than climbing up the escalation ladder to the point where it takes on a logic of its own. Russia has repeatedly objected to NATO's eastward expansion. However, according to Borger, if, after a series of apparent economic and military blows, the Russian leader has come to see the subjugation of Ukraine as essential to its political survival at home, political off-ramps such as guaranteeing Ukrainian neutrality may now be impossible to negotiate. In the midst of a propaganda battle fought by both sides, a Ukrainian government official has said that a hit squad sent to kill the Ukrainian president has itself been eliminated. Here are the details. As fighting continues as part of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, some of the men sent to assassinate Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, an elite unit of Chechen soldiers, have themselves been eliminated, according to Ukraine's Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council, cited by Ukrainian news outlet The New Voice of Ukraine. Speaking to Ukraine's Rada TV channel, Oleksiy Danilov said the Chechens had split into two groups, with one handled near Hostomel, a town near Kyiv, and the other in our sights. Seemingly corroborating part of the statement, the Kyiv Independent reported that Ukrainian forces had successfully destroyed a Chechen Special Forces column of tanks near Hostomel on Saturday, February 26th. In a separate development, the Times of London reported last week that more than 400 Russian mercenaries are operating in Kyiv with orders to assassinate President Zelensky. The Wagner Group, a private Russian militia, flew in mercenaries from Africa 5 weeks ago on a mission to decapitate Zelensky's government. Those reports, and the state of Zelensky, who reportedly turned down a CIA offer to leave Ukraine before the invasion began, demarcate just one element of the ongoing battle for the country. Elsewhere, the Wall Street Journal reports the Ukrainian Air Force is crediting its new Turkish-made drones with destroying large numbers of Russian weapon systems with guided bombs. The chief commander of Ukraine's armed forces, Valery Zaluzhny, posted a video of such a drone strike on Russian trucks. The video's text said the Bayraktar drone struck a Russian convoy near the city of Malin, around 97 kilometers northwest of the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. A few such videos show multiple bombs hitting Russian weapon systems in wooded areas and in convoys, with stuck convoys presenting the opportunity to target explosive-laden targets like a supply truck. Russian troops, though, have been deploying anti-aircraft missiles effectively against such drones.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the Tomo News family. Thanks for watching.